All right, inshallah, we'll start the new lesson, inshallah, which is the first lesson of level 3. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Today, the first lesson is, as usual, we start with something simple, is in regards to the letter Laam. Specifically, the Laam that is part of what we call Al-Ta'rif. The article, as in English, the THE, when we say the chair or the table, in Arabic we say Al-Kursi or At-Tawila, and so on. And also the Laam, which is included in the Lafzul Jalala, Allah, in the word Allah. And also the Laam in general. What did we say about the Laam in general? I think I mentioned it a couple of times, is that most of the time it is a soft letter. Most of the time. Probably 99% of the time it is a soft letter. So that's the default basically for this letter, Laam. As we said, we're going to get to the letters that are strong or heavy, and the letters that are soft in level 4, and we'll talk more specific. But for now, we could say that the letters in the alphabet are divided into 3 groups. Those that are always strong or heavy, and those that are always soft or light. And in between, there is a few letters that are sometimes strong and sometimes soft. Those are a few letters in the middle. So when referring to the L of At-Ta'rif, usually in the books of Tajweed you will find that the letters of the alphabet are divided into 2 groups. One group is called Al-Huruf Al-Shamsiyya. If you want to translate it to the sun letters. And the other group is Al-Huruf Al-Qamariyya, or the moon letters. And some teachers may ask you to memorize the letters. Of course, when you are dividing 26 by 2, or you will have a lot of letters to memorize and to know which one is which. So one group of letters are the letters that are called Al-Huruf Al-Shamsiyya, the sun letters, and the other group is the Huruf Al-Qamariyya, or the moon letters. What is the difference between the 2 groups? The difference is that in this group, the letters that are Shamsiyya, such as the Sheen here, Sheen is one of the letters that are Shamsiyya, or the sun letters. When this letter comes after the Alif Lam, then we don't pronounce the Lam. It may seem complicated at the beginning, but I will, inshallah, simplify it. So in this case, we don't say Al-Shams, we say Ash-Shams. So we don't pronounce the Lam. And in this case, in the Huruf Al-Qamariyya, or the moon letters, we do pronounce the Lam. So we say Al-Qamar. We say Al-Qamar. We pronounce the letter Al, the Lam. So here we don't pronounce the Lam. And here, in Huruf Al-Qamariyya, such as the Qaf, we pronounce the Lam. If a person doesn't want to memorize these letters, how can we find out? Is it a Shamsiyya letter, or is it a Qamariyya? Is it a sun letter or a moon letter? What is the solution for a person who is not able to memorize, or he doesn't want to memorize these letters? What is the workaround? Yes, Brother Mustafa.
If he's reading like from the Quran, he can see the shadda on
All right, so what will he conclude?
So you'll conclude that you miss it, that you don't pronounce the lam, and then you just make the letter after the lam heavy, mushadda.
That's not what I meant. I'm referring to a person who doesn't want to memorize it, to memorize the letters. How would he know that this letter is from this group or that group?
With the shadda?
With the shadda, yes. The letters that are in this group, al-huruf al-shamsiyya, or the sun letters, will always have a shadda after the alif lam. So if I see a word that have alif lam, and the word after it, the letter after it has a shadda, I conclude that this letter is one of the letters of shamsiyya, or the sun letters, which means that I will not pronounce the lam. Which means that I don't necessarily have to memorize the letters, right? Whenever I see a shadda, even if I'm not reading from the mushaf, I can tell if there's a shadda or not. If I say the word al-kursi, I can feel clearly that there is no shadda on the kaf. Al-kursi, right? Or I say al-madrasa, right? It's easy to basically realize that there is no shadda on the first letter after the alif lam. If I say ash-shams, I said ash-shams, so I can feel that there is a shadda there. So the shamsi letters, or al-huruf al-shamsiyya, they will always have a shadda after the alif lam, and therefore we will not pronounce the lam. And al-huruf al-qamariyya will not have a shadda, therefore we have to pronounce the lam. Is it simple enough? If a person wants to go ahead and memorize the group of letters, or at least one of them, so that he minus the other ones from it, then it's fine. But if you don't want to memorize them, I think this method is much easier and much more realistic, because when you are reading, it's probably very hard to try to remember 15 letters or 14 letters, right? To try to put it in this group or that group. Yes, Brother Abu Yahya. Say again?
Having a sukoon in the lam, al-qamariyya?
Well, having a sukoon doesn't really mean anything, right? I mean, they both have a sukoon.
No, I mean in the mushaf, they don't write the sukoon.
Oh, they don't write the sukoon.
While in the qamariyya, they put the sukoon.
All right. I will take your word for it. I guess we can easily find out if that's how they do it in this mushaf. Brother Abu Yahya is saying that in the mushaf they don't put a sukoon whenever it is, in this case, huruf shamsiyya. They don't put sukoon on the lam, so they would write the lam without the sukoon, and here they would put a sukoon on it. Have you met anyone that has a problem with this? We usually talk about the common mistakes, and if people do make mistakes when we are talking about a particular rule. I personally haven't found or haven't heard a person making mistakes when reading. It's very rare. I mean, I may have heard it, but it's very rare that a person may not know how to read this. Let's say he would say al-shams. It's very rare, unless somebody is really, really beginning to read, then he may say al-shams. So it's really not an issue for most people. I mean, probably 99.99% of people will not have a problem with this. So الشمس and القمر. So حروف القمرية we pronounce the lam, and حروف الشمسية we don't pronounce the lam. Remember, we are talking about the lam. So the first thing we are talking about today is the lam found in the alif lam. The second lam we're going to talk about is the lam found in lafzul jalala. Lafzul jalala is the word Allah. When I write the word Allah, anybody can tell me if this lam, is it a shamsiyah or qamariya? Yes, but why? All right, because there's a shadda here, right? So, if we write it as they would write it in the mushaf, they would write it like this. They probably don't put a sukoon on the lam. So this lam is a shamsiyya lam, a shamsiyya letter. Why? Because it has a shadda on it, which means that we don't pronounce the lam. Which lam are we not pronouncing? The first one. Right? So this lam we are not pronouncing. And you have try to remember this, because we'll come back to it many times in the future if we haven't already spoken about it, so that we don't confuse this lam with the next lam. So in this word, how many lams do we have? We have two, at least, if not three. Right? Because remember, the lam with the shadda is two lams, right? The lam with the shadda, we said before, the lam with the shadda is equal to two lams, like this. Which means that in this word we have three lams. All right, let's consider this as one lam. So we have two lams. We have this one and this one. So when I read the word Allah, I'm skipping over this lam and I'm pronouncing this lam. If I put something before this word, if I say, for instance, Wallah, what will happen now? Anybody can tell me what will happen? Yes, Brother Baghdad.
I think we don't pronounce the alif.
Jazakallah khair, that's correct. If I put something before it, which means if I start from a word before it, right? If I connect this word with this word, then I will not be pronouncing this hamza. Hamzatul wasl, it is called hamzatul wasl. I'm not going to pronounce this hamza. And also the lam, we already agreed that it's not pronounced either way. Whether we start from the waw or we start from Allah, we are not going to pronounce the lam anyways. So I'm skipping over two letters. So I'm skipping from the waw to this lam. So I'm saying Wallah. So I'm skipping from the waw directly to here. I'm skipping two letters. Try to remember this. All right. So the lam is always soft in the Quran, always soft, except in some cases, and it has to be in this word, Allah. Right? It's always soft, except when it comes in this word, Allah, that sometimes it will be soft, sometimes it will be heavy or strong. Only in this word. Anywhere else it's always soft. As we said, this is the default for the lam, the default. The common mistake is that people will tend to make it strong outside of this word. Of course, we are talking about a specific qira'ah, which is the qira'ah that we are using here, mainly Hafs and Asim. In other qira'at, it's mostly the same as this qira'ah, except qira'at Warsh and Nafi'. Qira'at Warsh and Nafi', which is read, as I mentioned probably before, in Morocco, Algeria, maybe part of Tunisia, maybe part of Egypt, maybe part of Sudan as well, and a few other parts of Africa as well, where they have very complicated rules of Laam. When I was considering which qira'ah I should stick with, and this we were talking probably when I was in high school, when I learned about the rules of Laam in the qira'at warsh and the rules of ra and some other things, I thought, no, there's no way. I will stick to Hafs. It's much simpler in Hafs. The rules of ra and the rules of Laam, and a few other things, the mudud, right? The rules of mad and stuff. They have longer mudud. It's much simpler in this qira'ah. Much simpler. For instance, I always give the example of salah. The word salah in qira'at warsh, they make the lam strong. So they would say, hayya ala salah, because there is a sad before it, and sad is strong, so they will make the lam strong as well. And this is the common mistake in this qira'ah. In Hafs, when we read, you will find people making the lam strong depending on what comes before it or after it, right? Outside this word, which is wrong, because the lam is always soft, right? And sometimes I correct some of you when you make that mistake. So in this word Allah, when are we going to make it strong, and when are we going to make it soft? Anybody knows? Yes, Brother Muhammad.
I think it's soft when there's a kasra in the word before it, and when there's a kasra right before the word, and strong otherwise.
All right. MashaAllah. Yes, Brother Salim.
When there is fatha, it's strong.
Fatha where?
In Lam.
In
If we had lillah, so what is before is half kasra.
So the kasra is where?
Before.
Before the word.
Yeah, before Lam.
So it is
It's soft.
soft.
When it's fatha,
It's half and half. All right, Jazakallah khair. Yes, Brother Mustafa.
So it seems that if you're beginning at Allah, it's always strong. So there's nothing before it. If there's a kasra or a sukoon before it, then it's light, soft. Otherwise, it's if there's a fatha or a dhamma, it's heavy.
All right. All right. We want to say it in as little words as possible. And in a simple sentence, in one sentence, this rule, this particular rule in the word Allah, I remember when I was learning, way before I started learning Tajweed, I had to deduct this from Salatul Tarawih. I deducted this rule, right? If you and this is the things that we could use during Ramadan, especially when you have somebody who is knowledgeable, a good reciter, and you're praying behind him. It is an opportunity to learn, let's say Tajweed, or anything else that you can learn from this person who you are praying behind. So I had to deduct this rule from listening to Salat al-Tarawih. And this sheikh was 10 qira'at, and alhamdulillah I had the privilege of praying with a lot of people who had like 10 qira'at and who were very knowledgeable. So Ramadan was a very good opportunity to learn Tajweed, to learn tips and tricks basically of the Tajweed. So if you want to shorten this, whatever you just said now, all of you, whatever you said was not wrong, but if we want to shorten it, to shorten the explanation on when do we make the lamb strong and soft, what can we say? You want to say it again?
It's always strong strong unless it's preceded by a kasra.
Jazakallah khair, that's the correct answer actually. That's not what you said at the beginning, right?
It was a little...
So you thought about it.
Yeah.
This is actually the simplest way and the shortest sentence that you can say about this rule. So unless you say it this way, you will have to use more words to explain it. So the lam in the word Allah is always strong except if it is preceded by a kasra. Of course, this covers the cases where it is not preceded by a kasra. That means it's preceded by a fatha or a dhamma. And also it covers the case where it is not preceded by anything. And of course, this has to be covered, because if you start from it, so you would think it's, I don't have anything before it, so what do I do? So you have to cover this. So if you start from it, you have to remember that you have nothing before it. That means you don't have a kasra, you don't have a fatha, you don't have a dhamma, you don't have anything before it. So this case has to be covered. Of course, even if you have words written before it, but you are not starting from these words, that means you have nothing before it. So the lam in lafdul jalala, in the word Allah, is always strong except if there's a kasra before it. Of course, this doesn't mean that the lam is always strong. We already said that the lam is always soft, right? We are only talking about this word. So it is always strong except if it is preceded by kasra. Let's give like two examples, probably popular examples, that the word Allah is used with. What are the most popular examples that the word Allah is used with? All right, Jazakallah khair. Bismillah. And also, what's the other word? All right, that's similar. That's similar. Yes. That's what you were going to say? Or you were going to say something different? That's similar. That's what he mentioned. I said that it is similar to Bismillah. But the other word is Allahu Akbar. This was what I was looking for. So we have Bismillah and we have Allahu Akbar. Let's put it on the board. Alright, so we have this example and this one, Bismillah. Bismillah and Allahu Akbar. Those are the very popular words, whether it is in the Quran or outside the Quran. So these are words that we use a lot. The other word that we use a lot on like a daily basis is Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So we use the word Allah in this sentence as well. So what do we notice? What is different between this example and the second example here? Between Bismillah and Allahu Akbar. Anyone? Yes, Brother Mustafa.
So Allah, the Hamza is pronounced because it's the beginning of the sentence, where Bismillah is in the middle of the sentence, so the Hamza doesn't get pronounced.
All right.
And then the Laam is more.
All right. As you heard Brother Mustafa, he's mentioning that the Hamza here, Hamzatul Wasl, is not pronounced in the first example. In the second example, it is pronounced because we start from it, which is true, but we were more interested in the Laam of Allah. And he did say that in the first example it is soft, and in the second example it is strong. Why is it soft in the first example?
Because it's preceded by a harf.
All right, and in the second example?
It's preceded by nothing.
By nothing. Or it's not preceded by kasra, according to the according to the definition that.
Yes.
Yes. So it's not preceded by a kasra, right? Jazakallah khair. So in the word Bismillah, as you can clearly see here, before the word Allah we have a kasra. And it doesn't matter what word it is or what letter it is. As long as we have a kasra, then this kasra will make the word Allah pronounced with a soft lam. So we say Bismillah. We don't say Bismillah. Well, this is the difference. If I make it strong, it will sound like this, Bismillah. And it is more difficult to pronounce. So you can try it, like if you say Bismillah compared to Bismillah. Right? It's more difficult to pronounce if it is strong. But here, I say Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. I don't say Allahu Akbar. And also the other interesting, I may have mentioned this before, the other interesting difference, especially between these two examples, is that in the Basmala, especially in the Basmala when we say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, it is an instance of mercy. And we did say that usually we say the Basmala when there is ayat or verses of mercy or Jannah, paradise, or people of Jannah, the believers, because it is a sentence of mercy. And a sentence, when we talk about mercy, we talk about gentleness. We talk about something soft, something nice, right? So it is befitting to have the word Allah soft. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, right? So it is compatible with the sentence, with the meaning of the sentence. Bismillah, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. It is compatible with the mercy that we are referring to in this sentence. But in the word Allahu Akbar, it shows strength. And people, Muslims, when they are at war with the non-Muslims, right? They usually use this sentence, Allahu Akbar. It shows, strength. It is basically a manly sentence, right? It is manly to say it in this way, with strong words, Allahu Akbar. And I probably told you the story of this brother who was a friend. He told me that he read somewhere that one of the conclusions that one of the scholars mentioned is that from the benefit of saying this word in this manner, he said, can you imagine in the battlefield Muslims saying this word Allah with a soft lam? It's not going to sound very manly, right? Like Allahu Akbar, Allah, right? It's not very manly, right? So that's why when you reflect on it, you will find that it is said with a strong lam in places where it is appropriate to say it with a strong lam. And the other one, it is said with the soft lam whenever it is appropriate. All right? Any questions? I didn't find any, except probably one person I met that had a problem with this. He wouldn't know when to make it soft and when to make it strong. But for most people didn't have problems with this. So they knew, because it is something that we use every day, or almost. Most people would know when to make it soft and when to make it strong. So hopefully you will not have a problem with this. All right. If you don't have any questions, we can read this ayah, which is from Surah Al-Imran. Ayah number 26, Surah Ali Imran, Surah number 3. Brother Abdullah, you want to start? All right. 26. Surah number 3. Yeah, 26.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل اللهم مالك الملك تؤتي الملك
مالك
من
الملك.
تشاء وتنزع الملك ممن تشاء.
أخي عبد الله، مالك الملك أن تنزع.
قل اللهم مالك الملك تؤتي الملك من تشاء وتنزع الملك ممن تشاء وتعز من تشاء وتذل من تشاء بيدك الخير إنك على كل شيء قدير.
جزاك الله خير. Brother Adil.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم قل اللهم مالك الملك تؤتي الملك من تشاء وتنزع الملك ممن تشاء وتعز من تشاء وتذل من تشاء بيدك الخير إنك على كل شيء قدير.
جزاك الله خير. Brother Ahmad.
قل اللهم مالك الملك تؤتي الملك من تشاء وتنزع الملك ممن تشاء وتعز من تشاء وتذل من تشاء بيدك الخير إنك على كل شيء قدير.
جزاك الله خير. Brother Ahmad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم قل اللهم مالك الملك تؤتي الملك من تشاء وتنزع الملك ممن تشاء وتعز من تشاء وتذل من تشاء بيدك الخير إنك على كل شيء قدير.
جزاك الله خير. Brother Baghdad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل اللهم مالك الملك تؤتي الملك من تشاء وتنزع الملك ممن تشاء وتعز من تشاء وتذل من تشاء بيدك الخير إنك على كل شيء قدير.
جزاك الله خير. You missed some of the two حركات. ممن تشاء. جزاك الله خير. Brother Hanif.
قل اللهم مالك الملك تؤتي الملك من تشاء وتنزع الملك ممن
قدير.
جزاك الله خير. Brother Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. قل اللهم مالك الملك تؤتي الملك من تشاء وتنزع الملك ممن تشاء وتعز من تشاء وتذل من تشاء بيدك الخير إنك على كل شيء قدير.
جزاك الله خير. Brother Mustafa.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل اللهم مالك الملك تؤتي الملك من تشاء وتنزع الملك ممن تشاء وتعز من تشاء وتذل من تشاء بيدك الخير إنك على كل شيء قدير.
مرققة. قدير.
قدير.
Still we need to work on it inshallah. Brother Nasser.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل اللهم مالك الملك
قل اللهم حركتين.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل اللهم مالك الملك تؤتي الملك من تشاء تؤتي الملك من تشاء وتنزع الملك ممن تشاء وتعز من تشاء وتذل من تشاء بيدك الخير إنك على كل شيء قدير.
The word tasha, what kind of rule we have in the word tasha? The word tasha. All right, do you agree with him? He said ikhfa. You don't agree with him?
Two words.
Well, the question was, what kind of rule we have in the word tasha? I guess, well, I guess you are not concentrated enough. Brother Hanif, maybe you are.
But متصل here, and if we stop, then we have mad added this one also.
All right. So when I ask a person what kind of rules, you have to tell me all the rules that are in that word. All the rules. The rules that we have taken already. I guess we are not on the same page, it looks like. I thought we were. So the word tasha, there's only a mad in the word tasha, not ikhfa. Ikhfa is related to the word before it. In the letter noon, in the word man, not tasha. Tasha, the only rule there is the mad, as Brother Hanif mentioned, is mad muttasil, which we make it 4 haraka. The reason I'm asking you is because you didn't make it long enough. You didn't make it long enough. You said tasha, right? It should be longer, much longer than that. Tasha, especially if you make the mad al-arid al-sukun 6, then it has to be much longer. Clear, Brother Nasser? All right. Jazakallah khair. Brother Yahya?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل اللهم مالك الملك تؤتي الملك من تشاء وتنزع الملك ممن تشاء وتعز من تشاء وتذل من تشاء بيدك الخير إنك على كل شيء قدير.
All right, the word al-mulk, what kind of, or the word meme, is it a letter, a shamsiya letter or a qamariya letter?
قمرية.
Why?
Oh, because it doesn't have a shadda.
All right. That's correct. Jazakallah khair. The easy way of trying to remember if it belongs to this group or that group, you just have to remember this word, Ash-Shams, and this word, Al-Qamar. Right? If I say Al-Mulk, the meme clearly doesn't have a shadda. Al-Qamar doesn't have a shadda, so it is Qamariya, which means that I pronounce the Laam. I say Al-Qamar. Right? This is how you process it, basically. All right? Jazakallah khair. Abu Yahya?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم قل اللهم مالك الملك
Malika.
قل اللهم مالك الملك تؤتي الملك من تشاء وتنزع الملك ممن تشاء وتعز من تشاء وتذل من تشاء بيدك الخير إنك على كل شيء قدير.
Jazakallah khair, brother Salim.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم
أعوذ ولا أعوذ؟
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل اللهم مالك الملك تؤتي الملك من تشاء وتنزع الملك ممن تشاء وتنزع الملك ممن تشاء وتعز من تشاء وتذل من تشاء بيدك الخير إنك على كل شيء قدير.
Jazakallah khair, brother Salman.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل اللهم مالك
Say again.
قل اللهم مالك الملك تؤتي الملك من تشاء
تؤتي الملك
من تشاء وتنزع الملك ممن
الملك الملك
وتنزع الملك ممن تشاء وتعز من تشاء.
If you stop, you say tasha. You have to put a sukun on the hamza. You don't say ooh if you stop.
Okay. وتعز من تشاء وتذل من تشاء بيدك الخير إنك على كل شيء قدير.
جزاك الله خير brother Salman. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل اللهم مالك الملك تؤتي الملك من تشاء وتنزع الملك ممن تشاء وتعز من تشاء وتذل من تشاء بيدك الخير إنك على كل شيء قدير. All right, 2 or 3 things before we conclude, inshallah, and we talk about the test results. Whoever didn't do the test yet, there's one last chance next week after the class. So next week, whoever didn't do the test, whether you were on not active participant or you were absent, next week after the class, you will do the test because it's, as you know, a prerequisite for level 3. The test for level 3 is Surah Al-Qalam. it has to be memorized, or half of it has to be memorized, half of it, not the whole surah. Because when we did it in the past, a lot of people had trouble with it. It's not an easy surah to memorize. So we dropped it to half of the surah. Of course, you have a lot of time to do it. You have until after Ramadan, way after Ramadan. So you have like a few months. If you are not able to memorize it, or you decide not to memorize it, you will start the test with minus 25 points, which for most people who took Tajweed is not a big issue. It's not like a huge issue. You will be able to pass if you do well in Tajweed. If you decide or you are not able to memorize it, that's an option to start the test with minus 25. So half of Surah Al-Qalam. As for the test results, we have 2 people who didn't make any mistakes, or almost. Actually, almost 3 people who didn't make many mistakes, including Brother Mustafa, Brother Hanif, and Brother Ahmad. MashaAllah. So since we gave a gift to Brother Mustafa last time, I'm selecting Brother Hanif, who also so far didn't miss any class, right? That's correct. According to my notes, he didn't miss any class, and also he didn't make any mistakes in the first test, and he didn't make any mistakes in the second test. So a small appreciation gift in a small bag for Brother Hanif. So, any questions before we conclude? Something I forgot to mention about this ayah. Why did we read this ayah? Is because it is a good practice. It had the L that we spoke about, and it also had something else. What did it have? The mad? Yeah, it did have a mad. Few mads. It did have ikhfa. Yeah, that's true. What else did it have? Nobody noticed what something that's related to today's? Yeah, well, I did mention that. What about it? Yeah, the word Allahumma is the same as the word Allah, right? This word is affected the same way the word Allah is affected. So because it had the shadda before it, so we read it, Qulillahumma. Qulillahumma. If we start from it, how do we say? Allahumma. If we start from it, if we don't say Qul, then we say Allahumma. What else did we notice about this Qulillahumma? You want to look at it again? Qulillahumma.
If you start from it, you pronounce the hamza.
Yes, that's another good point. If you start from it, you pronounce the hamza. So you say Allahumma, you pronounce the hamza. But if you don't start from it, Qulillahumma, you don't pronounce the hamza and you don't pronounce the lam. What else? What else can we say about this Qulillahumma? Say again? Yes, but what can you tell me about it?
Originally it was Qul only with a spoon, but since it is followed by spoon.
All right. That's correct. Jazakallah khair. This is what I was looking for. The word Qul originally it was Qul with the sukoon. And this is what we use. We say Qul huwa Allahu ahad. We don't say Quli. We say Qul huwa Allahu ahad. And Qul ya ayyuhal kafirun. We read it last week. So here, it was supposed to be Qul Allahumma. But it was changed to a kasra. And this is a lesson in level 4. We will learn why it was changed to a kasra. which means that this kasra is non-original kasra. Right? It is a non-original kasra because originally we had a sukoon. Qul Allahumma. And we changed it to a kasra. And of course, changing it to a kasra make it easier to read. Qul Allahumma instead of Qul Allahumma. Qul Allahumma. Right? It's more difficult to, it's not smooth. So we changed it to a kasra, which makes it easier to read. Which means that whether the kasra that we spoke about earlier is original or not, it doesn't make a difference. Right? It doesn't make a difference. So when we said that the Laam in the word Allah is always strong except if there is a kasra before it, this kasra, whether it is original or not, it doesn't make a difference. So if we have a kasra, whether it is original or not, it will make the Laam soft, as it is the case here. Qul Allahumma. All right? So next week yes.
How do you know if it is original or not? Because in the Mus'haf it's written like kasra.
Yeah, it is written in this Mus'haf. They basically tend to write these things. Most of the time they do write it. The only times that they will not write it is when, for example, in Surah Al-Ikhlas, when you have at the end of the surah, at the end of the ayah, if you join it with the beginning of the next ayah, then you will do something like this, but they cannot write it, right? At least for one reason, is that it's not for sure that you're going to join them. So they cannot write something that may or may not happen when you say قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ. Right? This is what they did. You're going to put a kasra, but it's not written in this case. In most other cases, and we will talk about it when we get to the lesson in level 4, which is iltiqa'u sakinain. This is what the lesson is called. We will know why and how. The conclusion that we're going to be making then is that for most people it's not going to make a difference because it's already written in the Mus'haf. So you just have to make sure you read what is written.
Yeah, but that was not the same rule for Mudud, for instance. Because you said that for the Mudud, the original ones were written, but not the other one were written differently.
I didn't get your point. Can you say it again?
I think something you told me that.
You mean the original sukoon and non-original sukoon? That's what?
I think
He's talking about like small letters, small
Yeah,
notes,
yeah.
small,
You said that they wanted to keep the original Quran
What we mean by original kasra or not, we don't mean that if it was written or not. I mean, these things were not written anyways, right? The dots and the harakat, the fatha and the kasra and dhamma, they were not written anyways. So we are not talking about whether it is original in terms of being written back then or not. We're talking about the origin of the haraka in the word, or the default haraka on this word. So when you say the word qul, it is written with a sukoon. We only changed it here because of the situation. If it was a different word, then this case may not have triggered the change of haraka. I don't have an example in mind. Let's say قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ. In قُلْ يَا, we don't have any reason to change the sukoon in قُلْ. قُلْ يَا. We only changed it here because two sukoons were going to meet. Then we have to change the first one. And this is, as I said, the lesson in level 4. We don't want to dive into it. That's why we say that this haraka is not original. The original haraka here in this word is a sukoon. All right? I was going to say something, now I forgot. خلاص. We have, alhamdulillah, refreshments, so stay with us, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair. And Jazakumullah khair for people who brought their refreshment. Wink, wink. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. جزاكم الله خير.